All right, guys, it's time to talk about something very important, and that is American tipping culture. All right, the other day, and I'm going to talk about this on my my little podcast thing with my wife, Robin Dan, in the description below. We're going to talk about this next thing, but I saw this. We're going to talk about tipping culture together, but somebody sent me this video, and I saw something the other day that blew my mind. Okay. It was a situation where this woman made a TikTok, and in that TikTok, it was so weird. I had to look. I was reading the comments just to figure it out. The person's bill was like something like $138 or $141.05, right? And they gave 160. I don't remember the exact numbers, but they gave 160. So they gave the tip was like, not like an even number. It was like $18.11. It came out to be a 16% tip though, which I think is solid. Back in my day, it was 12%. The woman, because she was offended that she only got a 16% tip, you know what she did? She made it so that she removed 1 penny from the tip in the computer and made it seem like so that the bill was like $159.99, because her theory was the person probably had some level of like OCD and they wanted to get back at them so that it showed in their bank account. Why can't I hear? In their bank account, it showed that they that like an odd number. And I was like, what? That's so weird. Like, in general, that's just bizarre. And I just thought that was so, like, childish, especially since, like, a 16% tip is solid. And it's so weird, like, the way that we've gone where, and I get it, people need more money, and I understand that. But, bro, I mean, 16% isn't good enough for you? How many tables are you taking a day? I mean, or an hour? I mean, Jesus Christ. It just seems like it's never going to be enough in general. It's just always a problem. That's what it kind of seems like. So I saw that, and that made me kind of want to watch this. So let's watch. Wow, I don't know what that is, but that's not the right video. Let's go.
Welcome back. Before I start, let me just say, you look nice today. Your face looks clean, your hair or your bald head looks shiny and smooth.
No,
you
it
should
doesn't.
use a new
None of those
shampoo.
are true.
Well, whatever the case, congrats on being you. Oh, and by the way, this is just going to ask you a quick question.
No, you're not. Oh, the worst is when you go to like Starbucks now and stuff, they ask you for a tip. Bro, we went to a chocolate convention and we got something from there, and the woman like just rang us up and she gave us, I think there was chocolate and there was alcohol too there. She's like, tip, and my wife looked at her and was like, no, and just pressed no. And it's just like weird. Why do you ask for so much money in tips? It's bizarre. It's like, it's one thing when you're waiting a table, but like you're just fucking, I don't know, it just seems weird. Like you're just making the food. You're not waiting a table, so.
Wait, 0 times 0 is still 0. Well, other than realizing I'm bad at math, have you noticed that tipping culture has turned into a huge point of contention, especially in America? Go to any comment section where the topic is about tipping, and it's a full-on battle royale with typos. Some blame inflation.
Absolutely, it is a full-on battle royale. People like, oh, people can't afford to live. You should be tipping, and I'm sitting here and I'm like, bro, the people who are at the restaurant also can't afford to live. Like, it goes both ways. You realize people who go to restaurants also have to earn their own money. So to be like, you need to tip better. People they don't have enough money. And it's like, well, you know that those people also don't make money, right? So it's just it's an interesting factoid I don't know if people have ever really considered.
Some call it tipflation. I call it nobody knows what the heck is going on, and we need a rule book so everyone's on the same page. How exactly are we supposed to know anything if there's no manual to learn from? I already checked.
Frankly, we should just eliminate tipping culture and pay people better. That would be ideal in my opinion. So.
The library and Amazon. Someone please let me know when you find it. A lot of people are living life on a budget these days. We're all just trying our best to min-max our spendings. I mean, who doesn't want to look good and still be able to afford to buy nice things? As
I don't care about looking
Ana
good.
Luisa is my go-to for high-quality jewelry with some of the most unique unique designs I've seen from a brand. You can feel and look good while wearing any of their sustainably sourced pieces. I like that they have so many options that'll fit anyone's style. I've been wearing this Laura link chain necklace really often. It pretty much goes with any outfit I own. Same with these Shiloh earrings. They're so comfortable. I can barely feel them even when I'm laying down. If you're thinking about picking up a piece for yourself or someone else, don't forget to save 20% when you use my code ADVASION20. I almost didn't even make this video. The overwhelming amount of opinions on this topic honestly scared me. Before I make a piece of content, I'll do research and a quick scan of what people have to say. Then I'll try to formulate my own opinion. There's a lot that I didn't know about tipping culture and where it actually came from. This was too
elevator tipping culture. That's wild.
Too much for me to absorb. I'm even more conflicted and confused than when I first started.
I feel guilted and shamed into tipping. That's what happens. Like I feel like I can't not tip and I get nervous. The worst is when they give you 3 selections and it's not like 10, 15, 20. That's reasonable. It's like fucking 20, 25, like 30. It's like, why? Like, dude, it's crazy.
Just so you know, this video is going to be a lot of, I see your point.
Because they turn it around and they stare at you. You know? That's why I like my wife. She just say no. She's not going to tip you, you know? Well, and if you sit down at the restaurant, she will tip, obviously. But, you know, we give a nice tip. We usually do about 30%. But if you know, if it's Starbucks, no, you know?
But I also see both sides, and the other side of the coin, 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 and the other side of the coin.
Several days later.
Oh, and the other side of the coin. Oh, turns out it's actually not a coin with 2 sides, but one of those freakish looking 120-sided dice.
What's a dice, not a coin?
That's the beauty of the internet. There's an endless supply of people you can fight with. But if you are going to fight each other in the comments, please do it in a nice way, no yelling, and turn off your caps lock. Tipping is defined as a small present of money given directly to someone for performing a service. As with most gifts given to someone, they're not mandatory unless you did something bad, like accidentally hit the neighbor's grandma with your car. I don't know. What started off as a 10% tip to show someone you appreciate the service they just provided you for an hour and a half, slowly started to creep up over the years and in places where you never had to tip decades ago.
Oh, what a cute Shiba. Can I pet him?
Boy.
Oh, thanks. Bye.
Well, I mean, it's obviously a joke, but...
Well, those tips better be going to that dog's 401k. I guess it's tough, being unemployed, tired, and hungry all the time.
I'm not understanding. Does he actually think that was real? Or is he playing into the joke and he just has like a really dry sense of humor?
From what I've seen on the internet, you'll typically fall into one of 2 camps or lean towards one side more than the other. These 2 guys were picking up food and they couldn't agree whether or not you should tip on an order you picked up yourself.
So we just picked up Thai food, okay? Now Frankie's mad at me because we...
I don't I go out of my way to pick up my food to not tip. Like that's one of the things I do because I figure like if you know, if I'm gonna have a guy deliver it, I have to tip him. So if I don't want to tip him, you know, instead of not getting it delivered, I just don't get delivered. I get it myself. You know what I mean? This makes sense to me.
We picked it up.
You're broke ass.
So
can't.
You don't tip on. You don't when you pick up food. You don't tip. Okay.
Dude, I don't care. I've been going to that restaurant twice a week for the last 10 years, and I always tip on pickup.
So it was like 80-some bucks. He's like, give $10. I'm not giving.
You have $80 twice a week. What the hell's the matter with you?
$10 on.
I always
What
give
did
them
they
a
do?
nice tip
What did
because
they-
they know my
$40
name. If someone has the decency to remember my name at a restaurant, I always tip.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow,
So
low
anyway,
bar.
I won't tip whenever I pick up any food ever.
Yeah, because you're. Yeah.
In this day and age, it is common decency to tip someone when they provide you with really good or really great service. The most popular number I've seen is at least 15% is the minimum when you go to eat at a restaurant. But for picking up food yourself, it's a little gray there.
I think 15% is a solid. I'd just say double the tax, which is about 15-16%. That's a decent standard. A lot of times I'll give more. Like for me, I'll give you like I'll give you that tip if I feel like your service wasn't very good. You know, maybe 10%. It depends. Like if I go to like a buffet, I usually tip like 10%. Yeah. Well, actually, it depends, man. Because sometimes, like when I go to some buffets, and sometimes they're just rude. You know, they just don't give a. They barely come over. You got stacks of plates. I'm like, what am I gonna tip you for? You know what I mean? I give you like a 10% tip. It's like, what are you really doing? You're just coming over every once in a while. You know, the way to really get me to tip is if you give me a refill on a drink without me asking. That's the money shot for me. It's just like I'm like, wow, incredible. You know what I mean? You must really love me. My father would never loved me. So if you give me a drink. A refill drink, you must actually love me. So
there, everyone's standards are different. If you have the money to tip, then go wild. It's kind of weird making someone feel bad for not tipping, especially when that thing technically isn't someone servicing you, but someone just doing their job. You could argue, well, they are cooking, packaging your food in a nice container so you can have a meal at home.
Well, the argument it would be, the problem is that it's become ingrained into our culture, right? The argument would be like, well, you know that these people don't get they get paid in tips, right? Like so their money is it's you know they're contingent on tips. That's what the argument is. However, it is now it's a standard. Jesus fucking Christ. It's a standard when it comes to tipping that if you don't get any tips, the company still has to pay you minimum wage. Right? So like if you don't get enough tips to satisfy your minimum wage, the company has to pay you minimum wage. Which is the real reason they do that, I think, more than anything else, is to make you have to pay taxes, right? Because if you think about it, people who get tips usually don't usually pay their taxes on their tipped income at the restaurant. So what happens is if they say, "Well, the company you're responsible for them paying the difference of it," because I think you only have to pay like $4 an hour. So let's say the minimum wage is like $12 in whatever state you're in, and it's like that you get paid $4 an hour. If you don't hit that threshold, the company has to pay you more money. So now the company is making sure that they account your tips in your income, which means it gets taxed. It's kind of a clever thing that they do. But either way, they're getting their minimum wage. We just need to we need to have a more livable standard, whether it's a raise in minimum wage or some kind of universal basic income.
I see your point, but if we're going to start advocating for everyone that works in the service industry to get tipped when the option presents itself, then shouldn't we be tipping literally everyone that provides a service? Going to the dentist and having the hygienist scrape off the plaque on your teeth, isn't that technically a service?
I've never actually
tried slipping my dentist.
The dentist always gets so mad at me, and it's like the dentist is like part. My aunt works for the dentist. So they get even angry at me because they feel comfortable with me. Last time I went there, my teeth, she's like, "You really need to floss. So you really need to take care of your teeth better. You need to floss." And I said, "Then why am I coming here?" You know what I mean? I'm flossing. What the fuck am I? What do I need to? Why do I need you? That's the way I see it. Why do I need you, bro?
At 20 before, but I'll try next time and let you know how it goes. Maybe he'll sneak me a free veneer or two while he's in there. There's also the level of importance for the specific service you're getting. You could say that the surgeon that successfully did your open heart surgery has a more important job than the barista that makes your coffee every day.
Probably.
Right, just one last question for you before we start your procedure.
I do no tip.
No tip?
Yeah, no tip.
All right, your chances of losing your eyesight have just gone up exponentially.
What was that?
Oh, my hands are a little shaky, so.
Can you put 30%?
30%?
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm not that shaky anymore.
That's crazy.
If I ever go plastic surgery, I'm definitely tipping my
Imagine paying 30% on like a $15,000 bill, bro. It'd be wild.
surgeon. I'm paranoid they're going to live stream my surgery to their audience on TikTok. True story, by the way, which will be another video topic. The thing is, the services that I mentioned do make enough money so they don't have to rely on tips. Whereas restaurants, customer service, and hospitality jobs, those tend to be the most common places where people get gratuity. Nowadays, when you actively decide not to tip when presented with the option at a place where you never had to tip before, the person standing behind the counter will silently judge you while those blue squares on that dreaded iPad stare directly into your soul.
The problem with the whole like tipping at Starbucks thing is that this is the thing. Like you go to Starbucks, you order your drink, and then you tip before they make your drink. So what happens is if you say no or that they spit in your drink, the thing is that I want you to spit in my drink. So I would have tipped you. But since it's the only way to get you to spit, I'm not going to tip you, right? Like, who's with me here, We
all know technology is going to take over the human race.
Who's with me?
I think that time's going to come when the self-checkout machines at grocery stores start asking for tips. Just watch. I'm sorry, but if I
What did it say? POV, I'm the employee at the self-serve yogurt store. Yeah, true.
I did more work than you, you're not getting a tip. I do ask for tips, but obviously I don't expect any because I understand the nature of a self-serve restaurant. I wouldn't tip me either, guys. It's okay.
If they put a you don't have to tip sign on there before getting a tipping, it would be nice. That would be cool. Because then I would feel less pressured. I'd feel less shame. But then that's a lot of reason why people tip, so.
Some businesses just have this in place as a standard, and it's not always up to the employees to decide whether they want to ask or not. There's also a bit of sketchiness with establishments taking the tips first, doing some calculations, and then distributing the rest among the staff. Do we actually know how much of the tips we gave to the servers that worked for it are actually going to them? You'd think it'd be 100%, but some of these businesses will take the tips and use it to cover employee benefits or
I don't think that's legal, so if that's happening, I think that's illegal, but I guess I could be wrong.
Other things the business should pay for. A restaurant in BC actually had a fee called employee health benefits baked directly into their customer's bill, which caused a lot of confusion. Since when was this a thing?
That's fine with me. Like, I wouldn't care about that. That would be fair to me. If you baked it, usually they just increase the price, but if you're going to explicitly tell me that this isn't a tax for employee health benefits, I'm fine with that. That would make me more likely to go to that restaurant. So.
Of course, we want everyone to have access to healthcare, and the fee is only a few dollars, but why is that responsibility placed onto someone that just wanted to eat a burger outside? Sometimes tipping does seem like a way for employers to...
What do you mean? What? That's just a... Wait, what? Hold on.
When was this a thing? Of course, we want everyone to have access to healthcare, and the fee is only a few dollars, but why is that responsibility placed onto someone that just wanted to eat a burger outside?
Your point doesn't even make sense, just to be clear here. What you're saying is silly goosery. This is what's being said here. Hey, I don't like that there is... I think it's kind of silly that they would put it onto the guy that's ordering a burger to have to pay for the healthcare of the person making the burger. Well, the fuck's gonna pay for it, right? Like, what? That's how it works. When you give benefits to your employees, it comes from the money you make from the service you're providing. So the only other thing they could have done was just increase the price to $1.25 and not tell you. And so that's so what do you? Who else is it? Of course, it's going to be on the person paying. And I'm fine with that. That's healthcare. I'm totally fine with that. That's like saying, yeah, I know this guy wants to get paid more money, but like, why should the person buying the burger have to do? Okay. Now you could get into a deeper conversation about businesses taking too much of a profit from their employees, and that's a different discussion. But fundamentally speaking, benefits are going to come from the person buying the service. So that's a weird point to make.
Sometimes tipping does seem like a way for employers to pay their employees less while getting someone else to pick up the slack.
That is exactly what they do, yes.
Especially with servers that work in the States. Correct me if...
I wonder how it would be if there was a restaurant that said, like, do not tip, but they paid their workers like a livable wage. I wonder how that would work. And then I also wonder if those workers would even want to do the job anymore. That's the real question. Because I feel like a lot of these servers make more than minimum wage doing their job. That's the whole point. I wonder if there's an aspect to that. I wonder if some of them would quit. In general.
If I'm wrong, but I believe the US is the only country that pays servers $2 to $5 an hour, while the customers' tips cover the rest of their wage. Do we know why this business model still exists? I know in Canada, you get paid at least a minimum wage plus your tips. It's almost as if these rich businesses are...
Again, just to be clear, you have to, I believe there's a law that means you have to get paid at least minimum wage. So, you know, again, those people getting the tips, if they don't make any money, if they only make enough, if they work an 8-hour shift and they only make enough money that would satisfy $7 an hour, and minimum wage is $10 an hour, the company has to make up the difference. They have to get paid a minimum of minimum wage.
Are pitting civilians against each other so they don't realize who the real enemy is. But it's not like every local ice cream store is a corrupt business. It's just that so many places have
I disagree.
Now. It's kind of making...
They cut me off the other day. It was all you can eat ice cream, and that was false advertising. Okay. I could never eat that much ice cream. I would die of beaties. So
people very aggressive when they ask for one, where it almost feels like they're guilt tripping you into tipping when you normally wouldn't in the first place.
So I go to Ben & Jerry's yesterday and I just wanted a cone. Just wanted a nice fresh warm cone. So I walk over to the counter and I was like, hi, can I just...
She wanted a what? A what?
Place.
So I go to Ben & Jerry's yesterday and I just wanted a cone.
She wanted to come? That's what I'm hearing. What the fuck?
A nice fresh warm cone.
You gotta pronounce your words better, girl.
So I walk over to the counter and I was like, hi, can I just have a waffle cone? And she was like, yeah, sure. Here you go. That'll be $2. So I was like, okay. I go to put my card in and of course the tipping screen comes up. And I was like, I didn't say it out loud, but in my head I was like, I'm not tipping you on a cone. You literally just handed me a cone. And I'm also like, the percentages were insane. I was like, I'm not tipping you $1 on a $2 cone that you just handed me. I'm not. So she hands me my cone. I put my card in. It gives me like how much you want to tip. I hit no tip. And the cashier goes to my face, to my actual face. Like on no
Aussie
planet.
Metal Mate super chatted $2.06.
Wow.
Papa G, take my tip.
Thank you so much. I expect everybody that gets a membership for here in this channel, which is only $2 a month, and it gives you access to the VOD, as well as the Discord, where you can link the Discord to the YouTube and be able to talk in there. I'm gonna expect at least a 20% tip, so it is now going to be $2.40 a month. Okay, I expect that in the form of a donation on the stream. And actually, I want a 50% tip. So I want everybody who's a member right now to give me $1. I'm just kidding. Don't do that.
Is that ever appropriate? Even if I got $100 worth of ice cream and I don't tip you, you can't.
The fuck are you getting $100 worth of ice cream for, though? That's a problem. What the fuck? And frankly, I think if you got $100 worth of ice cream, that's a lot of work. Maybe you should tip them a little bit.
To the customer. On top of that, Miss Girl.
The customer.
What were you expecting I tipped you to hand me a cone? Ooh. There wasn't even a service being exchanged. It was an exchange. It was a transaction. It wasn't even an active service.
We're not at a cis action.
Everyone with social anxiety is just going to DoorDash ice cream cones to their house from now on. She is right, though. Not every customer service job is weighted the same. There is a difference between a transactional service, where it's just someone doing the job they said.
I'm teasing you. Stop yelling at me over the tip comment. It was a joke.
To do while being paid at least a minimum wage.
Only if I give 50% to Mama Gut. Who the fuck do you think gets most of my money? I'm not trying to be rude to you. I'm just being a little joking, but I'm not kidding. The tone is joking. What I'm saying is the truth. What do you think I spend my money on? The majority of the money I make, I spend on my wife. All right. When we go out to the city, we went out to the city. We went to New York City the other day. Okay. We went out to eat. It was for my brother-in-law's birthday. But while we were there, we also did a little shopping. Where do you think we went? We went to the Disney store. What do you think we bought? My wife a Loungefly bag. Okay. That's what I spend my money on. Is 100% of my income goes to my wife. Always. That's just a fact. Okay, so if you just rest easy knowing that 100% of everything I make is going to Mama God. Just keep that in mind. It might make you feel better.
Emilia 5 super chatted 76 cents.
Whoa! Thank you so much for the tip. That's crazy. You're so silly. But thank you so much. I appreciate it. Much appreciated. This guy's knocking my jambos off. Don't come up here.
Then say a server in Texas that waited on your table for an hour while being paid $2 an hour.
I'm sorry to say this, but tipping culture has gotten out of control. And I just want to preface this by saying that I always tip 20% like standards. I went to this like local like little, it's like a burger and fry place, kind of like the local version of McDonald's. So like chicken tenders and fries, right? I get up to the pay window and she's like, how much do you want to tip? And I'm just like, what? And she's like, yeah, did you want to leave a tip? And she's like pointing to them. And I was like, oh no, not today. And then I just felt really uncomfortable. But like, homegirl, what am I going to tip you for? I'm in the drive-thru. Oh my god.
At this point,
that's crazy.
Actually needs a tip anymore. Things have become.
I mean, I guess it's the implication that's the bigger issue, right? It's the implication if you don't tip that's the problem. Like, well, are you gonna do something to me if I don't tip? Are you mad at me? Because that's the problem is even if the person doesn't do anything to me if I don't tip, I don't want you to be mad at me, stranger. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want strangers to be mad at me. My biggest fear is people I don't know not liking me, of course. I'm a millennial. You know, what the fuck? What the fuck?
So messy, everyone's now an iPad kid terrorizing the general public. The shame we feel when we decide not to tip is causing a lot of tip fatigue. Everyone's tipping less and aren't wanting to go out to spend their money because there's always a chance of an awkward stare down at the register.
What are your thoughts on tipping culture in Canada?
Tipping culture in Canada? Yeah. If you can't afford to tip, don't go out.
You know what? That's a really good way to look at it.
And you ask, I mean, I'm a bartender, so it's...
Okay, yeah.
I need to put food on the table, you know what I mean?
But...
Well, no, you don't. You need to put drinks on the table. So, get to bussin', bartender.
If no one goes out, how's the bar gonna pay you for working?
Is your same thought when it comes to tipping at fast food restaurants, at a coffee shop?
You know what? I still, just because I don't want to be a hypocrite, I'm still going to tip, not generously, but I'm still going to tip 10-15%.
And you've noticed the kind of automatic 18, 20,
Fast
25%?
food.
Yeah. I think it's going to be like 50% pretty soon. Then everybody will be broke. It's a communal recession, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We'll all be broke together.
Not sure about this take and what this guy was trying to say, but tipping will never be a black and white issue. It'll always depend on the situation itself and the culture you live in. The practice of tipping actually came from wealthy Americans in the 1850s and 1860s. They actually saw this tradition while on vacation in Europe, and wanting to seem aristocratic, these individuals began tipping in the United States upon their return. Which is funny because most Europeans don't really believe in tipping anymore. While the US did a speed run of how many businesses can we get to start asking for tips, iPad first. Some cultures don't even expect tips.
That makes sense that rich people with too much money would start tipping people, and then somehow that became... I wonder if middle-class people started doing that because they're like, I have money too, you know, and now we don't. Incredible.
And if you do tip them, it can be seen as offensive.
A few months ago, Starbucks added digital tipping. So every time you pay with your credit card, you are asked, do you want a tip?
I was going to ask you a quick question.
This made many Americans furious. But what happens in other countries? I know that tipping is not done in Japan, but I'm kind of curious what would happen if I tried to tip at a Starbucks, because Starbucks is an American company. Thank you. And do you have a tip jar?
No.
Do you have that jar anywhere?
Yeah, no.
Okay, sorry. Thank you. So I just Googled it, and yeah, tipping is not only not customary here, but it can actually offend someone. I almost feel like I should go apologize.
This chart shows the tipping culture in different countries. The blues and purples meaning no tips or tips aren't expected. And if you've noticed, the 15 to 20% expected tip is mostly a North American thing. There's also this thing where places will ask for tips for your service, most notably food delivery services like DoorDash or Uber Eats, which is weird because doesn't that defeat the purpose of a tip? I know.
Yes, of course it does, but then no. For two reasons. Well, for one, I mean, like, it's hard. I guess they could implement something that would tip afterwards. But I would say in that instance, at the very least, you know, it gives the DoorDasher the ability to be like, I'm not picking up that trip if they're not going to pay me for it, you know. So that's another problem. DoorDash doesn't pay their drivers very well either. It's a lot that's based off of tips. It's so interesting. Is DoorDash in other countries too that don't tip? Because I feel like it couldn't even exist. Just start going out and getting your own food, you know?
Well, I can't look into the future to see if my delivery driver delivered my food or not. Some people say it's more of a prevention type of thing, so the delivery driver doesn't have a little snap before delivering your food.
This DoorDash customer only tipped $1. Let's see what he got at Arby's, huh? Well, it's got the beef and cheddar. He's got the French dip and the crinkle fries. Oh, man, that's my favorite. Thank you, $1 tipper. Peace.
Tastes like uploading evidence on the internet so your employer can see. Do people automatically think they're in a reality show when they get a phone with a camera? It's not everyone, but some people are getting entitled when they do expect tips. It does suck if you did give really good service and the tip line says 0, but taking it out on the customer isn't the best way to go about the situation. There's a clip that surfaced recently of a DoorDasher that didn't think he got a big enough tip. Also at the scene, POV, you're a home security system.
Hi.
Hello.
Come here, Max.
Aw, a dog.
I'd kick it. No, I wouldn't do that. I would feed it to homeless people.
Max.
There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I just want to say, it's a nice house for a $5 tip.
Oh, got him! I know that video. I think the order was like $20. The $5 tip was actually a solid tip. He's just an entitled dick.
You're welcome.
This lady left a $5 tip on a $20 pizza. Isn't that like a 25% tip? That's pretty generous. Unless he was driving 100 through a school zone so he could deliver her food in 5 minutes, I have a feeling this was just a standard DoorDash delivery. But who knows what he did to think he deserved a bigger tip.
I mean, let's be honest. If he drove 100 through a school zone, he's a good guy. Because you're all oh my God, that's dangerous. You could hurt a kid. But, okay, listen, but here's the thing. I speed through school zones. You want to know why? Because I'm not a fucking pedophile. All right, the only people who go slow in school lanes are people who want to fuck kids because they want to look at them. They're disgusting. Okay, the only people who go slow in school lanes are predators, bro. All right, that's a fact. I've decided it's a fact.
All I know is that he didn't even pet the dog. My God, my head hurts. This will be an ongoing battle until we decide what services actually need tipping. Or we just get rid of it altogether and have the companies pay their employees livable wages. Personally, I like it when things are simple. Whatever the price is, that's what you pay. It just makes everything easier so you're not passive-aggressively staring at each other. And hopefully as a result, employees are actually getting paid a regular wage instead of the $2 whatever servers make. Other companies are doing it. Not really sure why we aren't. Then again, there could be a reason why. I'm not the most knowledgeable person on this topic. I didn't study economy or graphs or math-related things, so take everything I say with a grain of salt. I just wanted to talk about this topic because it was interesting. I'm probably just going to follow the tipping customs based on what country I live in to a certain extent. I did decide that I'm probably not going to tip my dentist. I don't want to make things awkward. The dentist community gossiping about me? No thank you. Maybe I should start asking for a tip from this guy that lives in my house rent-free. He doesn't even pick up his own poop. And don't forget to tip the YouTube algorithm with a like, because that's at least a 15% tip for me. I am scared to see what I unleashed, but let me know your thoughts in the comments. Have a good day, try not to be dumb, and see you in the next one.
All right, interesting video.